I'm sure she needs no introduction, but that's what I'm here for. So our next guest is a 15-year veteran of dog training. She's authored 3 books, including Positive Reinforcement, Training Dogs in the Real World, Aggression in Dogs, Practical Management Prevention and Behavior Modification, and the 2006 DWAA Best General Reference Book and DogWise bestseller, Canine Body Language, a Photographic Guide. She also has 2 DVDs available, and she's here to discuss canine body language. We are extremely honored to welcome Brenda Aloff.
Okay, don't waste your time with that stuff. All right. I am not used to speaking on a podium. I am used to moving around. So if I look a little antsy, it's because I am. I feel claustrophobic up here. Yeah, it's like I can't move around enough, and if I get down there, people will complain. This is slightly distorted, but I'm gonna do a DVD first, and I had the fortunate circumstances of having somebody be able to film and do click, 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 click shots at the same time. So I am willing to be made an entire fool of in front of all of you. Yeah, that won't be the first time, and those of you who have seen me before. And what we've got is a DVD and still photograph of the same, like maybe 2-minute or 3-minute time frame. And all we needed were some like back matter for books or media kits, stuff like that. So all I needed was a good photograph of me with dogs. You'd think that would be pretty easy to do. So we're going to do the DVD first, and I'm going to let you watch the DVD, and then we'll go through the stills. And as we do this, I want you to keep in mind that out of the 4 of us there is one of us with a brain. And then you'll have to press play to start it. Suzette is so good. Look at that. Okay. Have you identified the one with the brain yet? Yes, it's the German Shepherd. She can't believe she's there with us. Look at her. She's embarrassed for me.
Smile.
Make a noise for baby.
That's the camera person. That's where I say, are you the only good dog here? She says, yeah.
Obviously, Riley just wants to be as close as possible.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a resource guard too, can you tell?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with affection. It's all about possession. Yeah, you're a very good dog. All right.
They're so glad to get away from me. They're just like when I ran the boarding kennel and I knew the girls were going to be really busy. I'd go out to help them with baths, and you could just see them going, oh my God, anything but her helping us. Oh no, we've got it. I mean, they'd be, up to their chin in 20 baths and taking care of 60 dogs. But when I went out, it's like, oh no, we've got it. Okay. Now I'm going to take you through the still photographs. And I'm going to tell you, while that photo shoot was going on, if I'd had 3 of the terrier bitches I usually have, or one of my terrier bitches and that shepherd bitch that didn't get along, this photo shoot would have been a bloodbath. Totally and completely a bloodbath. So we're going to go through this. And I knew, as experienced as I am, I guess I can say that without sounding, I always want to sound more humble than that, but I do have a little experience at this point. I knew stuff was going on, but I know I'd probably get away with it. But even I, when I went through the still photographs, nearly dropped my teeth. Okay, you ready? Whoops. Oh, goodness, that's sensitive. Okay, this is before... Right? Is that the first one? Yep. Okay, this is before we even started filming. Look at my terrier. It's called guarding, in case you don't know it. Anytime a dog looks at something for more than a count of 1 or 2 and they get still, even if it's for a split second, baby cakes, they are saying something to you. And if you're not smart enough to catch on to it, well, then you're going to pay the consequences. See, my shepherd already knows. Look at her. She's like, this is going to go so badly. I can just tell. Okay. I love this photograph. Look at the shepherd again. Yeah, and look at the terrier. She's very smug. So at this point, I chastised her and told her to knock it off. So did you notice for the whole rest of the time, the terrier just pretended she wasn't there at all? Look at this. Isn't this cute? This is where the terrier leaps off my lap, and I had hold of her leg. But look at both the shepherd and the collie. I mean, how much, did you catch this? Okay, here's where the film starts. Okay. I wish the lights were out more because you could see it better. But. See all that tongue flicking going on? Here I've finally figured out, hey, I think this border collie has something to do with this. Slow on the uptake. I can't see very good from up here. Okay. Here the shepherd is staring. It starts to get a lot more exciting. Zazu's looking again. Do you see that sideways look at the collie? And look at the shepherd again. And I'm placing the dogs under this huge amount of stress because I need to get a picture taken, right? So I'm concerned about the picture. And what are the dogs concerned about, though? They're concerned about how they're going to deal with this personal space. Now, I want to tell you guys, this is 3 dogs that live with each other peaceably. I want you to think about that when you go to a dog show or you have your dogs out in public anywhere. And honest to God, I pick resource guarders. I have a talent for it. I can pick them out of any litter with no temperament testing. And if they weren't resource guarders when I pick them out, by the time they live with any of my existing dogs, they have picked it up very quickly. So I tend to have a lot of guarding in my house. Okay, the terrier has just disembodied herself from us. She's pretending we're not there. The shepherd is actually trying to appease everybody. Okay? But look at here. Every once in a while, she says, Okay, so here, see that? Look at that collie. I asked Mavie to come in to kiss me. And she did, even though she knew that collie was going to warn her. And the collie did. Of course, the collie's one of those, she just guards like as a reflex. She doesn't, she'll back it up with a dog she doesn't know, but she doesn't usually back it up with the shepherd. I think she recognizes the idiocy of that. But look at the response of the shepherd. Look at her. Do you see that? She does what I ask her to do. The collie warns her, and she does. She's like, okay, but watch what she gets next. Mommy won't always be here. Okay, just so you know that. And look at the terrier, like look at the terrier, she's like, oh my God. And look at the owner. Ha ha, aren't we happy? Okay, and again, the collie I want you to notice here, see the collie's mouth is kind of open. The shepherd's mouth is closed. We don't know what the shepherd is doing here. She's doing more appeasement behaviors, or more, I would call this more peacekeeping. You know what I'm saying? Appeasement doesn't always suit it for me. This just looks like peacekeeping to me, negotiation. She's just trying to keep things together without losing too much status in the process. Okay? And again, you know, she'll look and then she'll look away. And notice the difference in how open her mouth is, right? That closed mouth to open mouth, I have decided, is a huge deal. We don't pay enough attention to it. I pay way more attention to open mouth, closed mouth than I do tails and ears. I can tell you that much right now. Okay, so that open mouth is a discreet signal. I'm not going to bite you right this second, especially when they let their tongue hang out a little bit. I romanticized this because I thought it was really clever, but the collie is just, you know, again, guarding. She's just glancing daggers here. And of course the shepherd says, yes, remember what I said, Mommy will not always be here. And she's sort of actually moderated that threat to not let the collie become too defensive. See that slightly open mouth? Those things are not accidents. And it really wasn't until I had the opportunity to go through films and stills simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? Have films and stills of the same thing. Or when I did the Canine Body Language book, I must have looked through 4,000 different photographs. Just so many that I started looking through them, and after a while you're like, I have no idea what any of these dogs are saying at all because I've seen too many. And here again, she does a little look away. Now here, the collie, and that rising up towards the shepherd, see maybe she does a look away, and then she starts to bring her nose back. Now watch what that collie does in response to this. Now this is truly cheeky. Look at that. Now look how well that shepherd handles it. She keeps her mouth open. You can tell she's concerned about the collie because she's got an ear cocked towards her. Now I get that from reading horses, but I feel it works with dogs as well. And Mavie really keeps her cool there. See her just negotiating. Oops, I keep pointing at the wrong thing to get this. Isn't that nice? But you notice when that shepherd, look what she does when that shepherd starts to turn back around. Do you see how she pulls back? That is very interesting. If you watch two animals, and I get this from watching my sheep a lot, but if you watch two sheep walk up to each other, who's the first one that's not going to get the resource? As soon as they take a backward step, they have just given it up. They might still protest. They might push back as the other one is pushing them backwards, but I'm going to tell you the definitive moment is right there when that shepherd started to come back around and the collie says, well, your mother. But you notice she's still backing up a little bit. She gave way there. And that's probably all the shepherd was looking for. You know, they just want to, it's like when you ask your teenage daughter to go do the dishes, and by golly, she stomps down there pissing and moaning, but she does the dishes, right? Okay. Now, you notice the shepherd kept coming in, right? And what did the collie do when the shepherd kept turning her head towards? What did her mouth do? It opened. Yeah, what a smart move. She doesn't quite want to give it up, but she's already lost the battle. And she knows it, and so does the shepherd. Look at the shepherd. Her mouth is getting wider. Therefore, she's actually saying, I know you're giving up, and I know you're just trying to save face. And this is one of the pictures where they were actually, someone was not guarding for just a second. I want you to think about how many photographs we've gone through to get one where someone wasn't looking after their personal space every darn minute. And here I'm distracting everybody because I'm trying to talk to Mavie. And she's trying to attend to me and this stupid border collie. Pardon? What do you want me to say about her?
Well, the terrier's still out. The terrier's still ignored.
Oh, yeah. That's really good. The worst resource guard of this whole crowd is that terrier, guys. She is a piece of work, has been since she was a puppy. But she is, yeah, that's a good point. I just think people see it. But, yeah, that's a really good point, so thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, she's ignoring because I've told her to. She's not keeping the peace because she would. She's keeping the peace because the first thing that happened was the first thing we sat down, and who started guarding first? That terrier. Well, even an idiot like me, it was the first thing that happened before I was thinking about the other stuff. So I was able to cotton on to that, and I was watching for it in her because she's the dangerous one. When people look at things, I've got some stuff later, and I'll point it out, but that's a really good thing. You know, often the dog that looks the most benign might be the most... You gotta know the context, and in this case, it helps to know the dogs a little bit in their background. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But what we can see from the photograph, whether we knew the dogs or not, is the terrier is staying out of trouble by doing what? Ignoring. By not looking at anybody else, staying right out of it. And here's another one. Look, nobody's guarding. The collie's thinking about it. Do you notice every time I pay attention to something, what does the collie do? She distracts me. She would also distract me so she had a guarding opportunity. I don't know if you noticed that in the moving film, but every time I start to move my chin down or something like that, she would lick my chin, knowing that I would do this and giggle because that's what people tend to do, isn't it? When your dog licks your face, what do? You don't stick your tongue out and lick back. Well, we're hoping, right? But so you usually do some sort of, it's not like you're displeased with it, but your sort of reflexive thing is to kind of, I don't know, maybe that's an appeasement gesture to them. Heck, I don't know. I'm no anthropologist. I can barely feed and dress myself. Okay, so here we have another peaceful moment. A couple more. That collie's thinking, though. Can you see her? Yeah, right there. You could just feel it coming. And what does the shepherd do to keep the peace? She just maintains this really calm demeanor. And look at here. She said, "Remember, collie." There's the picture we finally got. Isn't that cute? Nice, huh? Yeah, I have really nice dogs. Like, they're not mean. Don't you guys hear that? My dog just bit the neighbor, but he's not mean. I'm thinking, well, the neighbor might not agree with that assessment. But. I know, that terrier's a piece of work. You should have been holding her. It was part of the reason I'm finally like, there's something going on. This terrier just is like a little rock. And you notice that terrier's mouth never opens. Uh-huh. She hates this. She's like, my mother's really mean to me. Okay, good. I'm leaving. One last parting, cheap shot from the collie, because that's how they are. And the shepherd, just one more reminder. Notice Mommy's getting up now. But what I want you to notice is how beautifully that shepherd handles this. Do you notice how she gives just enough, but she never pushes that collie into being defensive? When we look at things like this, we should take a hint from that, shouldn't we? It's not like we don't want to set boundaries. I don't think this shepherd is being all that threatening, to be real honest with you. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you she's not threatening because the collie never looks afraid to me. That collie never looks afraid or defensive. But that shepherd is effectively setting boundaries for that collie in a way that she understands it. That doesn't mean she's not going to push a little. Because, by golly, some of us just push, don't we? It's just what happens. It's a temperament thing. And here, my shepherd's saying, yeah, yeah. And here the collie's thinking about guarding again. And the shepherd, again, makes nice. Makes nice again. God, how many slides are there here? Yep, Zoomer just is laying down. That's probably a negotiation or calming signal in response to the length of the stress. You know, we've been sitting there a couple minutes at this point, and she's like, it's like being at the dentist, kind of. You know, is this never going to end? And here, as you see, as they get up, the terrier just leaves the scene. Because I've taught her when she feels like guarding, if she'll just leave the scene, I'm happy. And look at the collie still trying to control my movement. Because some of this is that border collie control freak stuff. Like they can't help it. Okay, how much time do we have? I mean, I've got so much material. How much time do I have? So how much time? Yeah. Yeah, the shepherd is about 12 in this photograph, and the collie's 6. No. Well, if you're talking youngsters, like puppies to adults, I think then there is some merit to saying that. A 12-year-old to a 6-year-old, when the 12-year-old is physically healthy, do you know where I'm going with that? And not feeble, I don't think, you know, it's like a 30-year-old woman talking to a 50-year-old woman. Well, is there a difference? Yeah, there's a little difference, but they're both women in their prime, so they probably aren't going to mess with each other much. You know what I'm saying? You know, if some 20-year-old comes up and starts messing with me, I'm going to stop it. If a 40 or 50-year-old woman my own age comes up to me, I'm going to figure they probably have a little bit of sense. I'm going to give them the benefit of that doubt. Okay? Until I find out different, which sometimes you do. Okay. What? Okay. So I'm going to let you guys kind of make a choice. I've got another little 2-minute. So, yep, I got another. It's the second one, and it says, I think it'll say something about, oh, she's so smart. Don't we love Suzette? Well, she's putting that in. I can take one more question. Anybody got a question? Yes, sir? Oh, no, I don't think any of that had much to do with affection. I think it had everything to do with possession. Any of you women ever been with a man who keeps coming up and kissing you at a party? Think about it. Is it affection? Only if you want it to be, honey. I mean, you can think about it that way if you want. Okay. Yep, I'm ready. Now remember, that's just my take on it. I'm sure everybody has different takes. That sneezing is a friendly signal.
Penny comes over to interfere, and she has a little helper there.
See Hogan sniffing Penny's butt?
Note the high
That's her
tail
little helper.
carriage on the Sheltie and her closed mouth.
That shepherd is worried about that Sheltie.
Hogan comes over to put his 2 cents in, and he does it with the lower ranking dog.
Penny, knock it off.
Rudy pulls rank here on
Smart
Merle,
owner.
just to make sure he knows his place. You'll notice there's no resistance.
Do you see those dogs coming over to watch that correction? That's
It's no
not a
mistake
mistake.
that you keep seeing vignettes of Hogan there. He's still wandering through there, making sure people notice him. That wasn't the best move on Merle's part, and he's feeling a little uncertain now. Notice the piloerector reflex
Penny?
on
See on the
Merle,
blue dog, can you
and
see
then
the
he
piloerector
chooses to
reflex?
take a break quite wisely.
Excuse me, I'm
Rudy
busy.
respects that. Notice the friendly sneeze.
See the little tricolored
The
dog
shape of
parading
Rudy's
there
mouth
too?
changes
Here?
right
That's not a mistake.
there as a correction to Merle, which he wisely heeds.
You notice after she showed him those C-shaped lips, he suddenly had something to do? every dog you see parading, with the exception of this one probably, but every dog you see parading in there, when you see the little vignettes of them, they're around the action, that is not a mistake. And it's really important that you understand that when two dogs are interacting and another dog just comes over, they're saying something. I don't always know what it is. But if they didn't want to be involved with it at all, they would go somewhere else. So sometimes when they come over to parade, like Penny, the little Sheltie, when she kept coming in there to parade, and we can show that to you again if you feel like you'd like to, see it again for a second after we discuss it. When you see that Sheltie coming in there, she was coming in there to break up the play. And I'm not so certain it was play anyway. All right? Much of what I see people describe as dog play, or they look at dogs playing and they say dogs are playing, I am not seeing that. I am totally not seeing that. Like, none of that looked like play to me. None of it. The Sheltie wanted to control things. Rachel had to actually stop her. Rachel owns those dogs. Rachel actually had to stop that Sheltie. So I was at a clinic and I was showing this, and this guy stands up and he says, well, that Sheltie's just an alpha wannabe. I want to tell you, honey, that Sheltie is the shit. Okay? She'll roll that shepherd. Who looked worried when the Sheltie and the shepherd were interacting? Did the Sheltie look worried? No. Man, that shepherd just stopped every interaction she had and turned right around and attended to that Sheltie. Now, I'm not telling you those girls love each other. That was not an affectionate exchange, but that shepherd stopped everything she was doing every time that Sheltie walked anywhere near her. So I don't classify dogs as alpha anyway, but if you were gonna, that Sheltie ain't no alpha wannabe. Okay? She's it. Okay? It's important that you can understand some subtle differences like that. And I know that when you look at that clip, I've looked at that clip a few times. When you look at clips like that, it's happening fast, isn't it? I froze that C-shaped lip because I'm going to show you how long it lasted. It was here, here, here. It took a second. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we missed it, but Merle didn't. Did you notice what he did after the C-shaped lips? Oh, ha, 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 ha. Those C-shaped lips tell me that most of that wasn't play anyway. There was tension in that whole interaction. That blue dog was being really cheeky, and that shepherd wanted to make sure that she had some sort of working social relationship with him, and that's what they were doing. I don't think they were playing. They were actually working out some sort of negotiable relationship because they lived together. So of course they're going to do that. They might renegotiate, right? We renegotiate with people in our houses from time to time. Like I negotiated things with my daughter when she was 3, and at 16 we negotiated a little bit differently. So relationships can and do change with the dynamics as one of the members grows older, or if you bring another. Anytime you bring or take away one member of any group of dogs, the whole dynamics can shift. I've seen it 10 million times, and it's very contextual as well. So you might have one situation where a dog is an avid gardener, and you might have another situation where they don't think anything of it. I've had dogs that wouldn't think of garden food, but I'll tell you what, the location of where the fuzzy toy was yesterday, they'd kill somebody over. Did you have a question?
I'm understanding why you're not seeing it as play.
She understands why I'm not saying it as play.
I'm struggling to understand how would it look different
If it was play? Okay, let's put in the next DVD, Missy. I've got some clips now, and you'll see this clip that we just saw. You'll see it again with the C-shaped lips but no freeze frame. And it's only about 2 minutes, so I'll probably leave it in there, okay? And if you have a choice, you could go to Chapter 2 first, because Chapter 1 is like really dull. They're all just walking around. Now, Rachel has a bunch of rescue dogs, and so they're varying ages. Most of them have had some sort of minor to major behavior problems. And the blue dog you're seeing there is a cattle dog mix, and he was probably one of the most hyperactive dogs I've ever seen in my life when we started with him. Okay. Now this is an interaction Look at, I love the short hair. He's like, I just don't belong here. I just don't belong here. So, do you see Penny in that white shepherd? Okay, that's Ed. He doesn't have any teeth. Hi, guys. Okay, see the pit bull bitch walk over to watch that shepherd bitch drink, and look at her slow movement and looking back. That was not friendly, okay? And now she's suddenly interested in something else because she knows her mommy's watching. Her mommy's just behind the camera, that's all. The classical music is just my sense of humor. Now this is the little clip you saw before. I don't know if it'll let you skip through this or not, but if it'll let you go to the next chapter, we could. There's no sense seeing it again, unless you guys want to. What do you want to do? Okay, oh, they want to see it. I'm sorry. Totally disregard me. Yep, that'll be it. This is it. See the pause over, pause over? That's a roll change. I like that. That's friendly. Even though the
Penny
signal was
comes
sort
over
of
to
unfriendly.
interfere, and she has a little
Look at that
helper
stillness. You see that?
there. Note the high tail carriage on the Sheltie.
Look at
and
her. She's like,
closed
hello,
mouth.
do you know who I am? And look at
Hogan
Merle.
comes
Is he
over
stupid
to
or
put
what?
his 2 cents in,
It-
and he
Rudy
does
was
it with
clearly
the lower
busy, and Merle
ranking
came
dog.
over and still touched her.
Penny, knock it off.
Look at
Rudy
Penny.
pulls
Oh,
rank
got
here
caught.
on Merle just to make sure he knows his place. You'll notice there's no resistance.
Do you notice when she told him to stay down, he stayed down? And she stayed down by just standing there. Her
It's no
stillness told
mistake
him
that
to
you
be
keep
still.
seeing vignettes of Hogan there. He's still wandering through there, making sure people notice him.
Hogan, that little black dog,
That
had already
wasn't the
taken
best
sides
move on
too. When
Merle's
Penny
part,
came in,
and he's feeling
she
a
was
little
sniffing a
uncertain
dog and he
now.
was sniffing her
Notice
butt.
the piloerector
He was telling you who he
reflex
was
on
sided
Merle.
with. Okay?
And then he chooses to take a break quite wisely.
Which tells you something about who's
Rudy
on top
respects
too.
that.
Because
Notice the
dogs don't
friendly
go for the
sneak.
underdog. They're not Americans like we
The
are.
shape of Rudy's mouth changes right there as a correction
That's
to
how
Merle,
fast
which he
it happens.
wisely heeds.
Notice suddenly he's busy and everyone deserted him. Did you notice that too? Oh, ha ha ha. We don't want to stand here by the idiot in case the other one gets mad and comes after him.
Penny's been removed.
Now, the White Shepherd continues patrolling. Now, this is a Great Dane Coonhound or something mix, as far as we can figure. He's immense. How old is he in this picture, Rachel? He's about 6 months old here, 5, 6 months. So he's at that top of that puppy pass wearing out thing. Yeah, he was just told by the White Shepherd to
Bridget
knock it
begins
off,
an
and
interaction,
you noticed he
and
did.
then Merle splits up and takes over.
That shake
Ed would
off is
also
very
like to
common.
play, but Merle continues to get between so that he's controlling the action.
See him keep splitting up? Those
Wilson
two dogs
is
are clearly
interested
interested
in
in each
Ed, so
other.
he
And look
gets
at
between
Merle, that
Merle
blue dog.
and
He keeps
Ed.
getting in between. What an idiot. I mean, that's just rude.
Then Zoe
It's just
comes
plain
over,
rude. And you
and she
notice,
begins
look at
to
all the
solicit
patrolling
play.
going on by that White Shepherd.
Rudy is wearing her playground monitor
Okay.
hat. She
Now you're
keeps
going to get to see
patrolling.
what I would consider
You
play.
have two different play
okay?
styles being exhibited here. On the left, you have graffiti painters, and on the right, you have the chess players.
The right dogs, Ed and Wilson, they, in my estimation, those two dogs are
The
playing.
rough play of the two dogs on the left
Merle
is
and
fine,
Zoe are playing
as
too. You'll
long
see
as you
roll
see
changes. The
many
pit bull will be on the bottom, then the
negotiation
cattle dog will be on
signals
the bottom.
and roll changes. I also don't like to let rough play like that go on for very long because it can be very stressful for the dogs.
Did you see the
For
pit bull
some
just
dogs,
allowed
they
the
will
cattle
reach
dog
a
to
certain
roll her?
arousal level, and then it turns into something that's not play. In addition, if a dog gives some sort of negotiation signal or a break signal or a calming signal, it should be returned in kind.
Did you see the shepherd? It wasn't an accident. She's saying, remember, I'm here, I'm here. So she's like the playground monitor, okay? Did you see the pit bull just roll herself? That probably tells you she's the dog that has a little more status, doesn't it? Because she keeps doing that, so she'll encourage
Zoe
the other dog
shakes
to
off,
play without
but
getting too
Merle ignores
intimidated.
that,
Although Merle may be
so
too
she corrects
stupid to
him.
get intimidated.
Then Hogan corrects him. Then Rudy makes sure he notices her.
Did you just see that exchange between that little black dog and the blue dog? That was interesting. I think Hogan was pretty much saying, don't get your cooties on me. This is the kind of play I love to see. This is very puppy-like play, just where they chew on each other's faces. And I like the speed of the play. You notice it's really calm. It looks very interactive. And sees that pit bull bitch standing there? That wasn't a mistake. She wanted to interfere, and then she's like, well, maybe I'll go away for a minute. Notice the stopping signal by Merle? If you guys thought that white shepherd went over there to play with him, you are wrong. She wasn't. She was following him to just sort of pull rank you with it. Just, poke him a little bit and make him uncomfortable just because she can. See how the pit bull solicits play with the puppy? I mean, that's just this really clear, pleasant invitation. See, look at her. She bites really slowly. That's one of the ways Isn't this great? Now that made her angry. Did you see that? When she got up, what did she do? And he's taken his correction. And then she says, okay, we can play again. Did you guys all catch that? And he's like, oh, she was angry. I'll play with Ed. He never gets angry. And she just told him to come play with her. Did you see her reach out to him? Okay, so that's an animal with a little higher status that says, and see, he wants to play with Ed. But she said, you come over here and play with me. I really think that is what's happening. And I can tell you that because I've had many fox terriers in my home. And most of the time when my puppies were playing, he's so dumb, he's going to try it again. I wonder if it'll happen. I wonder if it'll make her angry a second time. They're children, aren't they? I mean, they're just like children. You notice he didn't stay there like he did last time. Now watch her, because she's going to, Merle, look at him. And look at Ed. He's like, I'm just going to wait patiently till you're done with the mean one. Look, play with me. See, Wilson really wants to play with Ed. But every time Zoe looks at him or reaches toward him, she's telling him that he must play with her. I know. And this, she's told him stand still so she can sniff him. And then she solicits play again. And then Merle walks in. She's like, I didn't mean you. Well, okay. Yeah, I didn't mean you. And don't you come over here and help. Now, did you see that puppy step between Merle and Zoe? That was a peacekeeping. That was a split up. That's Rachel taking the idiot out. He wanders back in.
Knock it off. Thank you.
Whoops, got caught again.
Boy. Good boy.
These are home movies, can you tell? Now watch what she does.
Okay.
I think this is where she does a hold bite on his muzzle. So start watching for that, because I think it comes up here. Merle. See how he keeps putting himself in the middle? He's trying to say he's the king there. You know, he's trying to keep saying, I'm going to control this. I'm going to control this.
Lie down.
Yeah.
Now. Bridget?
Yeah.
Get
Bridget comes over. She's like, you got in trouble. I heard Mom yell at you. You're stupid. Yeah. Then Rudy comes over and says, yes, I know you're stupid. And he's like, oh, haha. I'm just going to pretend I'm not stupid here.
Good girl.
Yeah. Thanks for not eating the Merle. Good girl. Notice how when he's in trouble, everybody has to come over to notice. Oh, this must be where that... You watch, because the pit bull actually does that adult to puppy correction bite on his muzzle. She has a hard time with it because his head is so big, but watch for it.
Merle, okay.
Look at Merle. He's like, well, nobody else will pay attention to me. Maybe I'll play with Ed. Now, this is where the pit bull starts to say, listen, little boy. So a bunch of this play may have been actually leading up to the chance to do this, but she wanted to make nice first so she doesn't make him defensive and scare him. She just wants to make sure he kind of understands where his spot is, and it's not above her. Notice he lays still when she says lie down. Don't you wish you had that power? Yeah, lie down. Yep, I'm here. I'm still. And see him walking away doing... And then Rudy has to walk over and notice him. She notices that pit bull bitch corrected him. Look at Ed. He's like, you're an idiot. I don't play with you. That was a greeting stretch by the little Cocker Spaniel looking dog. So Merle, even though he's sort of uninvited, keeps interfering. See how he's split up? Look at Zoe. She's like, hey, wait. They're all kind of pounding on Wilson because he's the young one. Merle must have sensed his owner staring at him again. He's going to try that sitting on thing again, see if it works anybody their third time than it did the first two.
Merle, thank you.
And this looks very playful to me, this gentle chewing, you know, both of them changing roles, both of them, you know, one's higher, one's lower, that kind of thing. I really look for that in play a lot. 10 minutes? Oh my God. Well, we'll try to get to the end of this, and then I'll try to take a couple questions. Now this is what I call a play break. So everybody just calms way down for a minute. That's important in play or negotiating or friendly interactions with dogs. You should be seeing those play breaks, and either dog should be able to initiate a break whenever they feel like they need one. And there should be respect from the other one for the signals of the one requesting the break. If I see a dog request a break and the other dog blows through the signals, I have a problem with that. They're requesting a break often because they need one. Do you know what I'm saying?
Buzz. Good girl. Merle. Thank you. Good boy. Zoe. Good girl.
But notice who Wilson follows. That's the hound thing.
Merle. Good boy.
Now see, what was the mistake the puppy made? He did a bite to the back of that pit bull's neck. And she's like, I don't think so, little boy. Look at him, he just falls over. Oops. Notice how everybody leaves. Except for Merle. Do you see how she sort of softens that correction with that sneeze? She did that to prevent that puppy from becoming defensive. Could you see he was starting to get a little scared and a little defensive? I don't know. She's a mature bitch, and she's obviously still in good health. Okay, we'll probably have to close it down to, how much time do we have left? About 6 minutes. We should probably close it down then. And then I can take just a couple questions. You guys think you have a couple questions? I hope you found that interesting. I'm sorry I don't have time to do a lot more depth. I mean, I just feel like I'm barely scratching the surface, and it's so difficult because I don't know, I'm assuming I've got a very sophisticated audience here, your peers, so you've got a very sophisticated knowledge base. When I look at a dog's body language, there are some really specific things that I look for, and I'm going to tell you in my own personal opinion, ears and tail don't tell me much. I think ears and tail can maybe be kind of like a tone of voice. Like I could say to you, oh, Carla, love that shirt. Or I could say, oh, Carla, love that shirt. Right? I think that's what ears and tail do. They can tell us a little bit more about the signals that are already there. But I'm going to tell you what I look for when I look for a dog's body language. I look for the silhouette. I look for, and remember, I'm used to reading like fox terriers. Their tails are always up. Their tails don't go down. Okay? I had Brianna for 15 years, and I don't think I ever saw her tuck her tail once. And that includes during a dog fight when she had broken legs, her eyes nearly put out, whatever. Her tail was still up and wagging the whole time. All right? So maybe that's one of the reasons I started looking for other signals that dogs give to help me. Or if you're working with dogs with no tails, or you've got Great Danes or other dogs, Dobermans or whatever, and their ears have been cropped, pit bulls, or you're working with dogs that maybe been used as bait dogs so that, somebody's took scissors and just taken their ears off of their head. Well, if they have body parts missing, I can't use those body parts to help me with the signaling. So I look at the silhouette of the dog. I look for general body tension. Because some dogs are so subtle with their signaling, they're just like people. You might say something to one person like, I'm pretty emotional, so if you talk to me, I tend to, use my hands, and I'm touchy-feely, and blah, blah. And you'll meet other people, and they're actually very subdued. It doesn't mean they feel any less emotional than I do. Their expression of it is just very different. So one of the things that I really look for very carefully is the amount of body tension a dog has. I am real tuned into that, and I watch for dogs' breathing patterns. Pupil dilation is helpful if it's not a border collie, because how many of you have border collies, and when they greet a person in a friendly way, their pupils go, whoosh. You guys seen that? So pupil dilation is an adrenaline dump, right? It's the physiological response to an adrenaline dump. But remember, adrenaline can be caused by excitement. People can be, it can be happy excitement, or it can be, stress or defensiveness or other things like that. So those are basically the things that I very closely look for when I am reading the dog's body language. How am I doing on time? Okay.
Would you talk about mouth? Because I'm still confused. Open mouth versus closed mouth.
Okay. When I'm reading a dog's body language, since I know each dog speaks sort of individually and may have preferences for certain signals, right? Like we have preferences for certain words, dogs do too. So I look at the relativity. If I've got a dog with a closed mouth and the lips are tight and he suddenly opens his mouth, he just went from what? More tense to less tense, or unfriendly to friendlier. Do you know what I'm saying? I do a lot of pass-fail with signaling. So it's, to me, I either classify it, it's either friendly or unfriendly. If it's unfriendly, it can have a whole bunch of degrees, right? Just like if it's friendly, it can have a whole bunch of degrees. So does that help you with the open mouth, closed mouth thing? If the mouth is closed and they have what I call fish butt lips, because a fish has to keep his butt really tight so water doesn't get in. So if he has fish butt lips, you want to watch yourself, okay? That's bad. If their mouth is closed, but their lips are kind of, like, I always look at the dog, and I don't do this because some dogs will bite you if you do this, but I always think if I walked up and I kind of pressed on their cheek, would it move? Would the skin move? Would I have some indentation, or would it feel like I'm hitting a rock? Because that's really important. And that's why I say watch for body tension, because, by golly, there is such a huge, when you think of all the expressions we use, and when you think that a dog, my daughter's an English major, and I bought her the Oxford English Dictionary, the abridged edition. It's like 5 volumes of really small print, and they're all really thick. Millions of words it contains to describe how we label or describe our environmental situation, our environment around us, and our own emotional state. Now, how many words does a dog have to do that same thing? And I always have people, if I had time, we'd go through and we'd list body parts. Nobody's ever gotten past 15. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're going to double up on those signals. So I don't think that a signal is necessarily this discrete thing that means one thing. It's more like the word to. I have to spell the word to for you to understand which, I'm not an English major, I'm so sorry about this, but you know what I mean. It can be a location, or it can be a number, or it can be an also. And you take the rest of the sentences, the context, to figure out what that word means. So when you look at an individual signal, their ears, their tail, their general posture, whatever, I want you to think of that as a word. And I want you to look at that whole, that's why that silhouette is so important to me, because that tells me more about the sentence. So therefore, I can determine much better, much more accurately. And can we be very accurate with this? I don't know. How much of a dog's language do you understand, even if you're really good at it? 1%? 2%? You think those dogs were not saying way more than we caught and that they understood? How about olfactory messages, which have got to be relevant to dogs, that we will never be privy to? Well, when you think about that, it should help you because it means that you have to look very closely at context and the general demeanor of the dog to give you hints. I got to wrap this up because otherwise I'll stand here and talk all day. I wanted to thank the IAABC for inviting me here to speak. I was so flattered. You just can't believe it. I was so excited about this. And I'm so excited about this organization because I see it finally as a peer group without as many or none of the politics that I sometimes have found to be distasteful to me. Well, that was not politically correct. Whoa! I am so bad at this stuff. But I just wanted to promote I just want to make sure that we're all kind to each other because I think in the end that kindness is what really matters. But don't be so kind, you kill things. And you know what I mean by that, too. But I just wanted to thank all of you. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you.